da 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 da. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da ya da da ya da. Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Cheryl, our davener this morning, and violinist. Page 141 in the Siddur that many of us have at home, or the link is in the chat.
Atovu ohalecha, ohalecha Yaakov. Matovu ohalecha, ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkenotecha, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Mishkenotecha, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu ohalecha, ohalecha Yaakov. Matovu ohalecha, ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkenotecha, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Mishkenotecha, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. אני תפילתי לך אדוני את יצון, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת ישעך. Please join me in the morning blessings on page 153. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, המעביר שינה מעיני ותנומה מעפעפיי. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, הנותן לשכל ובינה להבחין בין יום ובין לילה. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, רוקע הארץ על המים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, פוקח עבריים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, מלביש ערומים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, מתיר אסורים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, זוקף כפופים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, המלכין בצדק גבר. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, שעשה לכל צקיר. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, עוזר ישראל בגבורה. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, עוטל ישראל בתפארה. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, שעשני בצלמו. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, שעשני בת חורים. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, שעשני ישראל. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, חי עולמים, הנותן ליעף כוח. Amen.
Those are the Birkot HaShachar, the blessings of dawn, followed by Psuke de Zimra, the verses of praise drawn from Psalms. 3 Psalms for us today, starting acknowledging our connection not just with Israel in some ethereal or historical or peoplehood sense, but in the fact that there are a bunch of people who are spending their late afternoon, which is what it is in Israel, with us today as we celebrate Amitai Naveh becoming Bar Mitzvah. Page 217, the psalm is 122. Page 217, one of the most place-specific psalms that speaks specifically of Yerushalayim. I rejoiced whenever people said to me, let's journey to the house of this invisible Yah. Our feet would stand inside your gates, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim habnuyah, Jerusalem built up, Ke'ir shechubra la yachdav, a city where all things converge. The last 4 lines of page 217. Shalu Shlom Yerushalayim. Shalu Shlom Yerushalayim. Shalu Shlom Yerushalayim. Shlom, shlom, shlom. Pray for the peace of Yisrael. Pray for the peace of Yishmael. Pray for the peace of all the world. Let all the world live in Shalom. Yehi Shalom Bechelech Shalva Be'armenotayich. 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 And the last two lines. Leman achai v'rei, leman achai v'rei, adabrana, shalom bach. Leman achai v'rei, for my brothers and friends. Leman achyotai v'rei, for my sisters and friends. Adabrana, adabrana, shalom bach, peace to you. Leman Beit Adonai Eloheinu Avak Shatov Lach. Leman Beit Adonai Eloheinu Avak Shatov Lach. I seek your good. Leman achai v'rei, leman achai v'rei, adabrana, adabrana, shalom bach. Page 227. The melody continues the theme of the synthesis across 7 time zones, just as we are welcoming the Navez and others from Eretz Yisrael today. We are also welcoming the creative output. Nava Tehila is an indigenous Israeli music group that draws heavily from Western as well as Mizrahi and other Eastern forms to come up with melodies like this, page 227.
Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Hallelujah, Adonai min hashamayim, Hallelujah b'amromim, Hallelujah kol melachav, Hallelujah kol tzeva'av, Hallelujah shemesh ve'yareach, Hallelujah kol koch ve'or, Hallelujah, Shmei Hashamayim Ve'amayim Hashem me'al Hashamayim. Ya'alelu et Shem Adonai ki hu tzeva v'nivrahu v'yamidem le'ad le'olam chok natan v'lo yavod v'hallelu et Shem Adonai ki hu miziva v'nivrahu v'yamidem le'ad le'olam chok natan v'lo yavod. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah, Adonai min hashamayim. Hallelujah, b'amomim. Hallelujah, kol kirva'av. Hallelujah, kol tzeva'av. Hallelujah, shemesh v'yareach. Hallelujah, kol kochve'or. Hallelujah, shnei hashamayim ve'amayim. Hashem ma'al hashamayim. Ya'alelu et Shem Adonai ki hu tzeva v'nivrahu v'yamidem le'ad le'olam chok natan v'lo yavod. Ya'alelu et Shem Adonai ki hu tzeva v'nivrahu v'yamidem le'ad le'olam chok natan v'lo yavod. Hallelujah. 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 And to finish Pesukei de Zimra, the Psalms for this morning, please turn to page 231. Kol haneshama tehalel ya hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehalel ya hallelujah. 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 Birkocho. Hallelujah. Bekia uzo. Hallelujah. V'gvurotav, hallelujah, kirov gudlo, hallelujah, b'teka shofar, hallelujah, b'nevel v'chinor, hallelujah, b'tov u'machol, hallelujah, b'mehenim ve'ugav, hallelujah, b'tziltzal neshama, hallelujah, b'tziltzal teshua, kol haneshama, tehalel ya hallelujah, kol haneshama, tehalel ya hallelujah. And transitioning towards Min Nishmat Kol Chai, please continue on the bottom of the page. Baruch Adonai le'olam amen ve'amen. Baruch Adonai mitzion shelchein Yerushalayim, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael aseh niflaot levado. Baruch Shem kevodo le'olam, yimaleh kevodo et kol haaretz. Amen ve'amen. Page 235. נשמת כל חי, תברך את שמך אדוני אלוהינו. אין לנו מלך אלא אתה, אלוהי הראשונים והאחרונים, אלוה הכל בריאות, אדון כל התולדות. והמתיר אסורים והסומך, נופלים והזוקף, כפופים לך לבדך, אנחנו מודים, אלופינו מלא שיר הקיים. Page 239. ממצרים גאלתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, מבית עבדים פדיתנו. על כן הדברים שפילגת בנו, מי יתמא לך ומי ישווה לך ומי יערוך לך, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ. Page 241. נהללך ונשבחך ונפארך ונברך את שם קודשך, כמו לדוד ברכי נפשי את אדוני בכל קרבי, את שם קודשו. האל בתעצומות עוזך, הגדול בכבוד שמך, הגיבור לנצח והנורא בנורותיך. המלך יושב על כיסא רם ונישא, שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו, וכתוב רנינו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נא בתהילה. בפי שערים תתרומם, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתקדש, ובקרב קדושים תתהלל. ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל. להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, להדר, לברך, לעולם לקלס על כל דברי שירות בתשבחות דוד בן ישי, עבדך משכך, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודאות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אל חיי העולמים. And now that we have warmed ourselves up and found a way to join together, we begin the body of the service with the Varahu on page 247. Please rise if you are able. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Ay 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 day 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 ya da 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 ya 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 da da. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uvorech oshech oseh shalom uvorech et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. ידאי 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 yada
Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech, creator of light and maker of darkness. This is a week we're thinking a lot about the celestial spheres with the successful landing of Perseverance on Mars, quite remarkable. This is a prayer from the old days, understanding that sun and moon and planets that move in the sky and stars that seem fixed are part of the testimony of the One, the miraculousness of creation, the intricacy that we must never take for granted. And this theme became the Yotzer. In a moment, the conclusion of this set of prayers is, thank you, God, for creating the great lights. Christmas Eve, 1968, we saw those celestial spheres in a new way when first the Earth was glimpsed as Earthrise over the moon, barren, this pale blue dot, this pretty planet spinning through space. That's the song that Micah Hendler has led us in as a modern Yotzer. There's nothing magic, though there is beauty, to the words of our tradition, like El Adon or Ha'aderet V'Ha'emuna that we sometimes sing here. I wanted to bring instead a very contemporary Yotzer, this from Amanda Gorman, Earthrise. Just two excerpts from a longer poem that, as with all of her amazing body of work, is worth accessing. We all care to protect this world, this riddled blue marble, this little true marvel, to muster the verve and the nerve to see how we can serve our planet. You don't need to be a politician to make it your mission to conserve, to protect, to preserve that one and only home that is ours. To use your unique power to give next generations the planet they deserve. Just as we choose to go to the moon, we know it's never too soon to choose hope. We choose to do more than cope with climate change. We choose to end it. We refuse to lose. Together we do this and more, not because it's very easy or nice, but because it's necessary. Because with each dawn we carry the weight of the fate of this celestial body orbiting a star. And as heavy as that weight sounded, it doesn't hold us down, but it keeps us grounded, steady, ready. May we be ready. Page 269, the conclusion of the Yotzer.
אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לראות אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לראות אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לראות אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. Bottom of page 275, as we gather the four corners of our talitot. והביאנו לשלום מאור כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו כמו מאוד לארצנו, כי אין פועל ישועות אתה, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת. להודות לך, להודות לך, ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אדוני אחד. לעולם ועד, ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Please continue in your own meditations or the verses on the pages that follow. And we will join together on page 285. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בדבריהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית על כנף בדל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם צונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ואתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
אמת אמונה כזאת. In a moment, the Amidah, 3 stanzas out loud and the rest silently with our own prayers. We are coming soon to Purim, and we'll hear about that in the Torah service. But before Purim even comes, we start thinking about Pesach, though that's a month later. Last week already, Shabbat Shkalim was the first of the special Torah readings in the countdown to freedom, which then becomes a countdown to purpose and direction and covenant at Shavuot. So we are in the spring. Hard to believe as the white stuff is still clinging to the grass, but we are there. Freedom is upon us, but freedom doesn't come automatically. We work for it. February is a month devoted to themes of freedom in our larger society, Black History Month, because without acknowledging the past, there can be no just future. In the Jewish world, recently it has become Jewish Disabilities Awareness and Inclusion Month, another form of necessary freedom as accommodations come for those who so richly deserve them. And for some, February is also known as Bob Marley's birth month. That becomes important for the melody that will take us into the Amidah. Page 291. Please join in what he calls redemption song. O mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot Osef eleh, won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption song. Shira chadasha, shibchu geulim, לשמחה על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption song, redemption song. Please rise as you're able.
Baruch atah Adonai, God Yisrael.
Page 295.
Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה כל חי ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, לשני עפר. מחמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע. ונאמנת לחיות כל חי, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה כל חי. Page 303. נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום. ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואומר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך כל הארץ כבודו. קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך כל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול הודיע וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים להומצרפים להומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון. בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתקדם ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור לנצח נצחים, ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. בשירך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please continue with the following verses or your own meditations, and we will come together at the end for Oseh Shalom. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Yasher Koach. Thank you so much, Cheryl. At the end of the Torah service, Cheryl will be back for some "You Will Not Want to Miss It" offerings. So we look forward to even more. And Toda Rabbah. We transition here toward our Torah service, welcoming Amitai and family back from Eretz Yisrael. And in a minute, we'll spotlight them and you'll see them on their beautiful veranda. Don't worry, you've got a couple minutes. Outside Netanya, near the coast. And we're so thrilled to have them with us. If you have a Torah handy, or Sefaria.org or Bible.org at your keyboard fingertips, Exodus chapter 25, page 604, I believe, in the old Plaut Chumash, or 545 in the new. This will be Amitai's opening reading in just a few minutes. And there's a couple things that I want us to note about this first paragraph. Going backwards, verse 8, "Let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. Va'asu li mikdash, v'shachanti betocham." We'll come back to that at the end. In verse 3, 4, 5, 6, the gifts themselves. It's almost poetic to just hear them listed: gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, goat's hair, and the list goes on. Keep that in mind. There'll be an echo later. But what I really want us to look at is where the name comes from. Second line in the Hebrew, "V'yikchu li truma." Let them take for me truma, a form of a lifting up generosity offering. Me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo. From every person who yidbenu libo, whose heart is so moved. Yidvenu is from the root nadav. And from nadav, we get mitnadavim, which is volunteers, and we get the idea of nidivut as a midah, as a characteristic that we should work hard to lift up in ourselves. Channeling nidivut, generosity, always. So someone with nidiv lev, a willing heart, should come forward and contribute, be part of something big. How does nidivut, this midah or attribute, play out for us today? One obvious way is tzedakah, righteous giving, charity, as with these Israelites donating to the capital campaign to build the Mishkan, the tabernacle. Today, the needs are so great. Our tzedakah generosity is a muscle that we must indeed exercise. For gold and finery in the desert among those enslaved just months earlier were scarce resources. And though many of us are blessed not to feel the scarcity of money each day, the poor and structurally disadvantaged in our own communities and across much of the world most certainly feel it. We must be generous not just when we're flush, but even more when the resource is scarce for us too. How generous are we with our place in line to receive the vaccine? The same 2 doses for everyone. The question is in what order? Might there be those who deserve or need it even before you or I do? What of vaccine nationalism, where the rich countries have enough to inoculate everyone before the poorer countries inoculate their doctors and nurses and frontline workers? Vaccine generosity. Likewise, the homeless tempest-tossed who wish to see the lamp beside the golden door. Visas and green cards and passports also are scarce resources. They've been too scarce for recent years. We must practice hospitality nidivut, immigration generosity. Come back in 2 weeks when we observe Hayas's refugee Shabbat. And there's generosity of mind, conceptual nidivut. Seeing someone different should be noted or not, and then make no difference thereafter. This applies centrally to race. Structural racism and pervasive white supremacist culture require real anti-racist work from each of us to shake. It applies also to class, to appearance, even to accents. And it applies to abilities. As with race, we've come a long way in polite society, but have much further to go. Generosity around inclusion takes the shape of accommodations, establishing what people need to access community as basics, as expectations, as rights. We are appreciating Mallory and Jill, our ASL translators, today. May they enrich everyone's experience, but remember it is a lifeline of access for some. Generosity, nidivut, includes inclusion. The word "and they gave," ve-not-nu, vav, nun, taf, nun, vav, is a palindrome, because giving is a two-way street. Nidivut, giving, generosity is also getting connection, gaining warm fuzzies, gaining spirituality and morality, and maybe above all, gaining a better world. Let us all strengthen that generosity muscle, not just on the Shabbat, when everyone with nediv lev, a willing heart, comes forward to contribute. Shabbat Shalom. We invite Jojo Groner to lead us on page 393 as we transition into our Torah service.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Havaya Elohim.
Oh, okay. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoninu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai iti, umerumema Shemo Yadav.
Yasher Koach. Thank you, Jojo. More from you soon. The camera now pans some 4,500 miles to the east, across 7 time zones, to the north side of Netanya in Eretz Yisrael. We are so thrilled to have Shir and Gil back with us as they bless Amitai, who just 2 days ago in their home community had a bar mitzvah at the Kfar Vitkinj Beit Knesset. And now by that beautiful evening light that we see in the background, we get a coda, and we get to welcome Amitai along with the entire family on this most special weekend of coming of age. The Navez will be back sooner or later, and we are so thrilled to enable the same kind of experience of blessing and hearing Torah from our students for this to apply to Amitai as it did to his big sisters and as it will to Gali someday as well. Gil and Shir, bevakasha.
Okay, thank you. Bless.
Oh, Baram Kol.
Can you hear us?
Achshav Ken.
Okay. Rites of passages for some Native American tribes in North and Central America have included starving the adolescents and sending them alone to survive in the wilderness. The adolescents was allowed to return only after they had spiritual experience, some sort of insight. Once upon a time in Australia, indigenous tribes would leave their adolescents in the ocean for their fitness to swim 3 miles to safe shore. Though we are not throwing you to the ocean, unintentionally, this year turned to be an adventurous one. The corona disrupted our lives. You left your comfort zone, your home, private room, beloved dog George, and of course your friends and our family in America, and moved to Israel, facing new culture, new language, new school, new friends, only in the era of Corona. Not easy. Even your bar mitzvah had to be postponed because you got sick with Corona. So you had to learn a second parasha. We almost delayed your bar mitzvah a second time because expected rain would have prevented us from proper social distancing, and because your oldest sister, Ma'ayan, a soldier in the IDF, was exposed to COVID, so had to remain in quarantine on her army base. If this had continued at this rate, you would have memorized the entire Torah. Yet, with all the changes and difficulties, you are steadily moving forward, studying in 2 schools, the one in Israel and your school in America. You joined the soccer team in Israel, firstly, and inshallah, soon you would be allowed to play and become the center midfielder and help your team win. You have continued to be responsible, and with a heart of gold, you are always careful not to get exposed to Corona, to protect the adult in the family. You even played soccer with a mask when most other players did not wear masks. But without your fault, you were wearing a face mask. You got the virus. But even though you got infected and we all shared the same house with only one bathroom, you still protected us stayed in your room and kept the virus in your body. In fact, no one in the family got infected. I wish for you to have a smooth adjustment to Israel and grow some roots here, make new friends, and develop flexible thinking. I wish that you see this time as an opportunity to grow, learn, and deepen your roots. I am confident that in the long run, will move to be a beneficial experience that help you in life. To sum up, let it be a year that you score lots of goals, develop your resilience, and take life a little easier. Make a lot of lemonade and cheesecakes with whole pieces of lemon, and continue to be yourself. Beautiful kid with a heart of gold.
Okay. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar and beloved faces on the screen. We made a semi-spontaneous decision. We had an opportunity to work remotely, and school is remote. So at the end of Sukkot, we packed up and moved here, not knowing how long we would stay, but we've been very lucky. We've had a very soft landing and have been having a great time. So with all the Corona constraints. So here's my blessing from Amitai Shili as well. From Amitai Shili. Yeah. And Rabbi Fred, if you don't hear me, you'll signal. So you and I have a certain quality in common that has enabled us to naturally bond. Yeah, but stand over there. I can't even see you. I can't see you. Okay, so how we do that? But you need to move over there so I can see you. No. But I want to see you. The camera's opposite. Oh, okay, fine. Go to the camera. Just there. You and I have a certain quality in common that has enabled us to naturally bond. We both tend to be serious and thus have a long tradition of deep conversations. When you were an innocent, genuine little boy, and I looked for ways to engage you while changing Gali's diapers, we used to discuss the wonders of the animal kingdom, and you would dazzle me with your expertise. As you grew older and I drove you to soccer practices, the conversation returned to current events. You astounded me with the breadth of your knowledge. And now we watch history-related videos and episodes of Fauda and Sha'at Emet together and debate the future of the Middle East. I have been repeatedly amazed by your ability to identify and absorb key details while also connecting the larger ideas and patterns. You see both the forest and the trees and succinctly share your fascinating insights. Interspersed in these worldly discussions, we also engaged in more personal conversations about teachers, coaches, friends, and your feelings about your life. Your ability to reduce complex, sometimes contradictory emotions to their kernel of truth, to the Ra Emet, would sometimes leave me speechless. Mitai, you are all substance, and I love that about you. As you step into manhood, certain societal pressures will tighten. You may feel tempted to squelch your incredible insight and honesty, which have dazzled me and so many others, and a stronger pull to behave a certain way to gain others' approval. So I want to bless you as follows. First, as you continue to build and expand your intellectual abilities, don't lose your sensitivity, your ability to observe, and your self-awareness, and never lose your ability to articulate your emotions. Honesty and vulnerability are crucial tools to personal growth, to finding the ultimate emet. Don't lose your feelers. Second, you were blessed with great passion, depth, and integrity. Use these to guide your kivun, your direction in life, and pursue a life with kavanah, intention, whether it be related to soccer, world events, travel, or any other topic. With your prodigious talents and discipline, if you follow your heart, you will find great satisfaction and make truly valuable contributions to society. Finally, know your value and share it with others. Granted, you're now in a somewhat awkward age, but as you get older, push yourself to reach out and connect with people. You're such a gem of a person, kind and considerate, funny and warm, caring and genuine. So reach out to others from all walks of life, even if they have nothing to do with soccer, and let your light shine. You have much to learn and gain from relating to others, and they have so much to gain from you. Mitai Shili, I feel truly blessed and privileged and so proud that I get to be your Ima. I can't wait to see where your journey leads you. I will always be your staunchest fan along with God. Okay. All right.
Yasher Koach, thank you. In a moment, Amitai will open the Chumash and we get to hear the opening of Parshat Truma. Let them build me a sanctuary and I will dwell among them. Do we get, by chance, a wave from Moria or Gali?
Moria is at home and Gali, I will go get her.
Okay, maybe later, it's okay. So we are thrilled, again, where we were looking before, page 604 in the old Chumash, or 545 in the new, the opening of Parshat Truma.
וידבר אדוני משה לאמור, דבר בני ישראל ויקחו לי תרומה מאת כל איש אשר ידבנו ליבו, תיקחו את תרומתי, וזאת התרומה אשר תיקחו מאיתם, זהב וכסף ונחושת, ותכלת וארגמן, ותולעת שני ושש עזים, ואורות אלים, מורדמים, ואורות חשים ועצי שיטים.
Yashar kochacha. Beautiful. Do you want to say the bracha achrona, if it's before you?
Have it open.
We didn't know where to find it.
En baya. That's okay. We will bless you today. Thank you, Yasher Koach. Beautiful. We will hear more from Amitai, some timeless wisdom rooted in the Parsha that was on the original date, but still very applicable today, about responsibility or achrayut, coming up in just a bit. As we pan the camera back to this time zone for a moment, remembering this key line, V'asu li mikdash, let them make me a sanctuary, v'shachanti betocham, and I will dwell among them. For some people, any building is enough, and they, created in God's image, will hear themselves in that line. Let there be a sanctuary, and I will dwell there. But if there are steps and no ramp, some people can't dwell there. If there is a fixed height Torah table, hey Gali, that some people can't read Torah from, then not everyone is part of the ultimate sancta of that community. This is a special Shabbat with ASL interpretation. More often than not, we do not have that. So though we build a sanctuary in Bethesda and we build a community around a sanctuary on Zoom, not everyone can always dwell in that midst. This is the work of the Inclusion Advisory Committee, with huge appreciation to Emily Novick and to Alan Levitt and to Susan Kimmel, and represented today by co-chair Bob Lubran, who will have the second aliyah. And this is a teaser to stay after breakout rooms. Around noon, there'll be a program with Louis Tenenbaum and Susan Kimmel about inclusion, particularly focused on access, physical and conceptual access for all. And we are thrilled to have that focus today. So plan to stick around. For now, from the middle section of our weekly Torah portion, chapter 26, verse 7, page 548 in the new Chumash, or 607 in the old.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. V'asita yuriotizim leohel al hamishkan. Ashte esrei yuriot ta'ase otam. Orech hayiriachad. Shloshim ba'amah. V'rochav arba amah. Yiriah ha'achat. מידה אחת לישתי עשרה יריות, וחיברת את 5 היריות לבד, ואת 6 היריות לבד, וכפלת את הירייה השישית אל מול פני האוהל, ועשית 50 לולאות על שפת הירייה האחת הקיצונה בחוברת, ו50 לולאות על שפת הירייה החוברת השנית.
Baruch atah Adonai, lamed Torah lamo Yisrael.
Amen. So the second Aliyah, as was just said, is honoring Adat's Inclusion Advisory Committee. We'll again be offering a program at the end of the service in honor of Jewish Disability Awareness and Inclusion Month. A reminder that we can always and always need to do better, to gain greater access of the actions great and small that can make a difference and the actions great and small that limit accessibility. On that note, we want to again give thanks to our sign language interpreters who are here for this service, giving us the opportunity to expand our availability in the community. Thank you. And now, I invite us all to take a breath and transition to the Mishaberach, to take a moment to invoke a blessing for those in our community and in our lives who are in need of a prayer for physical and spiritual healing. Please feel free to add their names to the chat box if you are so moved as we sing together. Anna elna refanallah, 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 Anna elna refanallah.
Refuat nefesh u'refuat haguf, renewal and healing of body, healing and renewal of spirit. V'nomar, Amen. Most Shabbats in this stretch of late winter, early spring have a special theme and a special name. This is Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of the command, remember, because that is the opening word of our last Torah reading, way at the back of the book, page 1335 in the New Plout, 1507 in the Old. This is Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 17. Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek baderech. Remember what Amalek did to you, to us, when we were vulnerable. Which means we must never let that happen again. And it means that we must never become Amalek and oppress others. And it means that Purim is this week. This is the special reading because though the events of Esther are long after Torah, we are told that that bad guy, who we'd have to make noise if I said his name, which is going to be interesting and awkward on Zoom, but we will do it on Thursday night. Every time we say Haman, you got to make a whole lot of noise. And since we can't hear through muted screens, we have to show it. Every time we say Haman, we've got to make a lot of noise. That's getting better. We are thrilled to have Olivia Zaid, our impresario, producer, director extraordinaire, senior in high school, doing such an incredible job to ensure a meaningful Purim for all. So we turn to the special reading announcing Purim, page 1335 or 1507, and to Olivia.
Hi, so I'm Olivia, as Rabbi Fred said. I just wanted to let everyone know about our upcoming Purim Spiel, which is next Thursday at 7. And you can watch it either on Zoom, or it will also be live streamed on YouTube like today's services are. So basically, I'm sure you're wondering, how are we doing a Purim Spiel virtually? It's a very good question. So basically, what we're doing is this year is kids and teens only in the Purim Spiel. So it'll be really highly energetic and just a whole bunch of fun. And what we did was we had people send videos of themselves doing their parts and singing their songs and dancing, and it's all being edited together to create this giant Purim Spiel show, which I guess is good that you can, that's on Zoom, because then when you want to watch it again, you can just replay it over and over again. So it's just as amazing as in-person Purim Spiels. I mean, it's probably like in-person would be a little bit better, obviously, but you guys definitely should check it out. And also, if you haven't watched the trailer, it's on the Adat Shalom website, and I think they also sent it in an email. So definitely be sure to watch that. But yeah, that's all from me. So I hope to see you guys all there.
Okay. Thank you. And the bracha, please, and then the reading.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek baderech b'tzeitechem mitzrayim asher karha baderech v'yezaneh becho Ohanechashalim acharecha v'ata aye v'yagea v'lo yareh Elohim vaya v'haniach Adonai Elohecha l'cha v'kol oevecha misaviv ba'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lacha nachala l'rishta timhe et zeh Amalek mitahat hashamayim lo tishkach.
So go now.
Mhm.
Baruch atah Adonai hamelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael.
Amen. Thank you all. Thank you, Bob, for that beautiful reading with the lo tishchach, don't forget, accentuated as it should be. And thank you, Marcia, for the reading before. And Olivia and crew, thank you for giving us Purim. There will be a piece of live experience around the recorded, and that is 7 p.m. on Thursday night. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you. Thank you. Yeshkoach. So rewind many columns in the Torah and go back to that transition from Genesis to Exodus, from a family story of a group that only numbered 70, suddenly to 600,000. That is the reading in Shmot, Exodus chapter 1, which Amitai first learned and first interpreted. It is such a well-known story, of course, its themes are applicable any week, and particularly when that theme is taking responsibility. We are thrilled to welcome Amitai for a Devar Torah, his word of Torah. If Netanya is still on the line, Shir, I see a static face. There were internet connection issues. There you are. You're moving now. Tov? Dibru.
זהו, sorry.
בסדר גמור. Amitai, Devar Torah.
Yeah, we'll get there. Right. Okay, so nice. Okay, Amitai.
Okay.
So what did I learn from this parasha? So what did I learn from this parasha? Many lessons can be extracted, but I think the most relevant one for all of us is that we need to stop injustices before they get out of hand. When the new Pharaoh rose, he didn't know who Joseph was. He was afraid the Jews were multiplying too quickly, so he increased their workload, hoping it would not give them time and energy to protest. That's injustice number one. When that didn't work, he enslaved them, which is a glaring injustice. He hoped it would make them not want to have children, knowing they would grow up to be slaves. That's injustice number two, and no one rebelled. But this again didn't work because they kept multiplying, and then he started killing the baby boys. I don't think it shouldn't have gotten to that stage. It should have been stopped before they were enslaved. Another unjust regime that should have been stopped in its early stages is Nazi Germany. Stage 1 was when an anti-Semitic leader came to power with anti-Semitic goals. Very few Jews left Germany. Stage 2 was when he didn't let the Jews work in certain professions and visit certain public areas. Stage 3 was when he forced them to wear a yellow star on their shirts. Stage 4 was when he forcibly moved them to ghettos. And stage 5 was when he started killing them in concentration camps. The Allies got involved too late to prevent the injustices against the Jews, and as a result, 6 million Jews were killed. Nowadays, the most prominent examples of injustices include the killing of Muslims in China and innocent civilians in Syria, and the impoverishment and brainwashing experienced by North Koreans. There are also injustices in our everyday life. For example, if you're a kid and you go to a school where the janitors are treated with respect, with kids purposefully making a mess for them. If you're an adult, you might have a boss who may not treat all employees equally. It might be hard to stand up for what's right in these situations. In school, you might be scared of getting laughed at. At work, if you speak up, you may risk having a bad relationship with your boss or even getting fired. But to stop injustices, you have to get out of your comfort zone, although it obviously won't be easy. At school, you could ask a teacher to help you organize a cleanup crew of kids that rotates every day to help the janitors clean the cafeteria. At work, you could organize people who feel similarly and to have a conversation with the boss to explain how you feel and work together on a solution. One time, a kid at my school was getting bullied by other kids. It happened again and again with more kids joining every day, and they thought that it wasn't bullying because it was part of their everyday routine. And I finally realized that he was getting bullied. I intervened by asking him to join my friend group, and he sat with us at lunch from that point on. In conclusion, you have to step out of your comfort zone when you see something that is not right and try to address it as soon as possible before it gets too out of hand.
Yasher koach. Hamon toda. And kol kavod for going from klal to prat, from the big picture to the small example that we can all relate to, and try to do as you did with your friend group, bringing someone in. This is a blessing for you to live out the beautiful Torah that you have taught today, that we take responsibility, and that sometimes it means going out of our comfort zone because of values. As your parents so beautifully said, there are many stresses in life on an adolescent. You're tugged in many directions. But to try to keep that kivun that is yashar, that direction that is ethically and morally straight, it's tricky, but you can do it, and we are thrilled. One last piece. There's a famous poem 1,000 years ago, Libi b'mizrach, v'ani besof ha'ma'arav. My heart is in the east, I'm stuck at the end of the west. Sometimes when this dislocation is hard, it may feel the opposite. Libi beWashington, v'ani besof ha'mizrach. And a blessing to make the most of your time ba'aretz, and to be ready to make the most of your time back in the States. As Achinoam Nini sings, my heart on both sides of the sea. A little bit of our collective heart is with you and your family today across that sea. We are thrilled. Mazal tov. And as we say on this occasion for all of our B'nai Mitzvah, when you reach such a milestone as you did on Thursday with an echo of it today, we say Shehechianu and then sing Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov. Together, Baruch Atah Haveya Eloheinu Ruach HaOlam, Shehechianu V'kiyamanu V'higianu Lazman Hazeh. Siman Tov u'Mazel Tov Mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, simin tov, yehelanu, 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 lechol Yisrael, yehelanu, yehelanu, lechol Beit Yehelanu, Yehelanu, lechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, lechol Yoshvei Tevel. Yasher koach, Yudaish. Mazal, mazal, mazal. Thank you.
תודה.
Yay. So we keep Amitai and the Navez with us as we return to our service. At the end of the Torah service, we offer traditionally a prayer for the places that matter, sometimes for this nation, sometimes a prayer for Israel, and often a prayer for peace and for the world. We have one from Cheryl as a Coda Devar Torah on this week's Parsha. Remember, let them make me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell among them. Remember, bring the gifts with generosity that will enable us to build something holy and enduring together. Our prayer.
Teruma, the Parsha of Gifts. Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, goat hair, tanned ram and dolphin skins, acacia wood, oil for lighting, spices for the anointing oil and for the aromatic incense, lapis lazuli and other stones for setting, for the ephod and for the breastpiece, v'asuli mikdash v'shachanti betochem, and let them make me a sanctuary of these beautiful things that I may dwell among them. Gold, silver, copper, blue, purple, and crimson. This verse sings to our senses a chorus of colors, texture of skin and wood, scent of the aromatic oils. All this sensory beneficence might slow the speed of our senses as we hurtle toward the next impasse, at least for a moment, if only we let it. Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, and acacia wood. There is so much to think about. Look at the newspapers, look at our listserv. Every day we are enveloped by information, by debate, by analysis of things that threaten to drown us in fear and dire prediction. Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, and acacia wood. I have family in Houston, 3 generations in 3 households, family that missed my daughter's end of summer bat mitzvah because they couldn't fly in the devastation of Hurricane Harvey, family who were without water and electricity for much of this week due to failure of the power grid in this winter's offerings in a land whose legislators deny that we are giving way to climate change. Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, and acacia wood. It reads like a meditation, a chorus, a poem of imagery that slows my heart when it begins to race as we face. Have you had the vaccine yet? Should you take it if offered? Do you want it at all? Who should have it first? What can I do once I have the needle stick? Can I hug my family, my friends? Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarn, fine linen, and acacia wood. I want to know when we can worry less, plan our futures more, share Shabbat dinners, have spontaneous get-togethers, see each other's mouths without staring at a screen. Write a few less letters to Congress, read the news without shuddering, all the little deliberations, and many of the bigger matters. Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, and acacia wood. We all need a break. We are all tired in this land of the outstretched hand to the tired and the poor, where the hand has been withdrawn in these alarming years. In this land where that hand may again begin to extend itself, where we may soon again begin to take each other's hands. We all need each other. Gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, and acacia wood. We all need rest. We all need beauty. We all need sanctuary.
This is being streamed to YouTube, where it will be accessible. Send your friends to this recording and make sure they catch what starts at the 91-minute mark. That's a keeper. Thank you. We all need sanctuary. Benji Eisman Whiting, our third of the cohort to participate today. Page 441 in the Sidur, the prayer book, concluding our Torah service.
את חיימי במחזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר, דרכיה דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, חודש ימינו כקדם.
Yasher koach. We close the ark and we are seated. More from Benji in a moment. Before our concluding prayers, and just a roadmap, after this concluding prayers, a couple of announcements, breakout rooms, about 10 minutes to meet a swath of fellow folk, and then the opportunity to focus on inclusion and access until about 12:30 with Louis and Susan. Rabbi Meir Lebush commented that the verse, "Build me a sanctuary, let them build me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them," actually means that God would not dwell literally in the sanctuary building, but among the people. Good news for us who have been out of the sanctuary building for a year, but among the people every Shabbat. Rabbi Meir Lebush concludes that each person is to build a tabernacle, a mishkan, in his or her own heart, for God, for unity, to dwell in. The Torah wants us to see that the way we do this inner construction work is by perfecting spontaneous generosity. Because nedivut, generosity, is part of musar, the ethical path. We work on it. Another midah or attribute, achrayut, responsibility, that Amitai has taught us so beautifully this morning. In the chat, you will see that line applied to a hymn that comes more out of the evangelical tradition, a very powerful melody about becoming a sanctuary, linked together with our verse. This as our Musaf extra offering.
Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. ועשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם, ואנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. ועשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם, ואנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם.
May we each be a sanctuary for the one and for all who are created in the image of the one. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you all. Our concluding prayers begin with leading into Mourner's Kaddish as we remember those who are no longer with us. And to make it easier on our wonderful Mallory and Jill, who have added so much to the experience this morning with a bunch of names they haven't heard before, a screen share. As we remember so many so recently lost to us, including Mimi Blasiak's remarkable mother, Gertie Lehrer. The last formal night of Shiva is this evening. We welcome Mimi back in our midst, in the midst of her Shiva week. And we have just wrapped up Shiva for our beloved, though not to anyone as much as to Joan Kahn, her husband, Jeffrey, and Shiri and Lee's father, our dear Len Blackman, and also still just after Shiva, holding Josh Levin through the loss of his mother, Carolyn Shea Levin, and hitting just now the Shloshim, the 30-day mark, as we remember with Jamie Kaplan, his mother, Lila Blaine, and with Judy Ackerman, her mother, Gladys Lipton. There are many yahrzeits, the anniversary of a loss in Adar, because we combine what happened in past years in Adar, Aleph or Bet. The month gets doubled 7 out of 19 years. And so we remember sometimes off the solar season a bit. so many of our beloveds. Ken Cantor's mother, Rose, Bob Barkin's grandmother, Jenny Chortek, Judy Perez's mother, Naomi Perez Epstein, Gail Fisher's father, Mayor Fenig, Suzanne Kalfas's father, Alfred, Deborah Basilis's uncle, Daniel Roth, Dawn Levinson's grandmother, Audrey Samit, Putzi Hirschberg's mother, Margaret Wesson, Ira Abrams' mother, Edith Abramowitz, Nechama Babin's mother, Helen, Jackie Glass's father, Ernest, Mark Silver's mother, Paula, Lauren Emdersky's grandmother, Myrna Tech's mother, Mary Tech, Debbie Trope's mother, Sheila, Jeff Weintraub's father, David, Jesse Abraham's father, Bernard, Philip Abrams' father, Norman, Bob Barkin's uncle, Samuel Chortek, Sandy Brody's mother, Vivian Kravitz, Lori Persh's father, Jerome Cuff, Judy Perez's father, Toby, Deborah Basilis's grandfather, Samuel Roth, Betsy Tereski's father, Bert Rudin, Steve Isaacson's father, Edwin, Ted Kleinman's mother, Ellie's grandmother, Olivia and Natalie's great-grandmother, Frances Kleinman, Michael Ostheimer's father, Jack Ostheimer, Estelle Quain's mother, Mildred, Harvey Iglarsh's mother, Bertha, and Shari Book's mother, Lucille Kalish. Inviting all those who are in mourning or commemorating a yahrzeit to please rise. If there are additional names, feel free to put them in the chat as well as we remember. Page 451, Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam l'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, shmei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, all of their memories, for a blessing. Back in the prayer book, a few pages affirming life, affirming the divine among us, and affirming our work, letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, to repair the world under the dominion of the One. Back to Benji, we rise as we are able.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו ובסולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום ושבות על לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתנו אין עוד.
Page 449 at the bottom.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Yasher Koach. Thank you. I hate to take us backwards, but there actually were so many names because of Adar that a number of the yard sites later this coming week were not acknowledged out loud and deserve to be. So with apologies, a few more as we continue to remember. Linda Canefield's mother, Toby, Anne Raymond's mother, Rita, Vic Resmovic's mother, Anna, Marta Barrison's father, Carl, Irv Greenberg's father, David, Chuck Konigsberg's mother, Elsa, Thea Wernick's mother, Regina Schipper, Wendy Swire's mother, Lenore Sherwin, Eileen Sorota's father, Jack Warshaw, Wendy Baber's grandfather, Robert Cohen, Jane Handler's brother, Jack, Aaron Klepau's father, Herbert, Sherry Siegerman's mother, Rosie Leder Siegerman, Rosalie Cogan's father, Robert Morrison, Peter Richmond's mother, Anne, David Side's father, Paul, and Elena Broder Feldman's grandfather, Bernard Westerman. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories too be for a blessing. With huge thanks to Cheryl for leading so beautifully, to Amitai for the teaching, to Benji and Jojo for participating, to everyone behind the scenes, our Torah readers, our Zoom Gabayim, keeping everything running, Amy Jaslow, and again to Jill and Mallory, our remarkable interpreters. Thank you, thank you. We will turn shortly to the Learning in honor of Jewish Disabilities Awareness and Inclusion Month with Louis and Susan, and please do plan to stick around for that. We have a word from our lay leadership sponsor, Mim Eisenstein, as a member of the board to offer a greeting before our breakouts.
Well, welcome everybody to this wonderful service and Shabbat Shalom. Special congratulations to the Naveh family. Wonderful to hear you, to see you, and I hope you will be coming back. Just a few announcements. You can see it all in Social Solidarity. Please read Social Solidarity. We have multiple Purim celebrations this week. I think it starts with Sunday with the little ones and continues all the way up through the Spiel and Megillah reading, which will be on Thursday evening. Thursday is actually Purim. So that's when, I believe it begins Wednesday night, but Thursday is Purim and we'll be having our celebration for everybody on Thursday. Be sure to tune in. I saw the trailer and it is just, it's really great. So you must watch. So have a good week, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. There's some helpful info in the chat and some more opportunity to come together after what today will be short breakout rooms. I'm going to suggest only about 8 minutes or so that we have some time with Louis and Susan and still wrap up at a reasonable hour. We are thrilled to have you all with us from many time zones and to celebrate so much. With Cheryl's beautiful piece still echoing in our ears, we all need sanctuary. May we be sanctuary. Shabbat Shalom.
Hello.
Hey, Susan. Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
It looks like folks who wanted to go to breakout rooms.
I
have
guess
gone to
everybody
breakout
went to breakout rooms except for a few of us.
Yeah.
I truly don't know if we have anybody who is taking advantage of our ASL interpreters, but Mallory, you've been just phenomenal. I don't know how you can do it, how you can.
Me neither. There was someone who was private messaging me in the Zoom who was giving me some tips, making sure that they can see me okay with my seating and everything. So I think there is someone, but there was no overt "I am deaf" message. But so I don't know if they were doing that for the greater good of the audience or if they are using.
I did take a look when we were at our peak, or appeared to be our peak, and there were only about 3 or 4 names that I did not recognize. So they either were guests from the deaf community or they were guests from the Navi family, because we also had some Israelis. Chances are a lot of folks may have ended up watching it on YouTube. And of course, we have no idea who sees us on YouTube.
Right, but you can't see the interpreters on YouTube. So
you can't?
No, I looked at it and it only,
you couldn't.
I only saw the rabbi when I only watched for a couple seconds when I only saw the rabbi. So I assumed that it was not.
Because Carol Stern's screen should have been staying at the spotlight view.
Theoretically, that's how it works, but I did not see the interpreter when I checked.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to check YouTube out.
Well, Amy and Carol, thank you so much because it worked beautifully. Your, switching back and forth and everything just was great. So
that was all. Carol Light was in charge of the spotlighting. I was in charge of getting people to be able to see.
And
I think Carol Stern did the spotlighting back and forth with the interpreters because when I went to do it, it was always done.
Well, it worked beautifully, everyone. So thank you.
And Helen, you're going to be doing some signing now when we all get back together?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll make sure to spotlight you.
Thank you.
I'm looking for the person who was messaging me before because I can see the list of breakout rooms since you've made me a co-host, and I don't think I see them anymore. But maybe I'm looking too quickly.
They may have left.
Yeah, I don't see them either.
Not everyone stays on for the breakout section, but so Mallory, do you speak Hebrew?
I do not. I don't know if you can tell.
No.
No, you can't? Oh, geez, you're very kind. I've been scrambling to find the page number and then I'm reading the Hebrew transliteration.
Yeah. Well, for however you're doing it, some of the signs, see, I don't know ASL, but some of the signs seem like you're right with the Hebrew word, like the whole world or, various things that look like they could mean, the sign looks like it could mean.
Jill knows much more than I do. She can keep up a lot better with the Hebrew than I can. But I believe she's been having some technical difficulties.
A real challenge. I have a hard time keeping up between the Hebrew and the English on different sides of the page.
Yeah, add ASL to the mix. It can get a little confusing sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So how is everybody? I don't mean to take up all the time here.
Well, we chug along. I have a great news. I have had 2 injections. I can do anything I like, except I'm also told not to change my habits at all.
Not according to Dr. Fauci.
So
has it been 2 weeks since your second injection?
That slowly this happens. I'm very in despair. That's not quite the right word about what's going on in Texas. I'm so grateful to have heat and a roof and food and everything.
Let's all remember that the senator who tried to escape to Mexico and only made it for a day has refused to give funding, I think 4 out of 5 times, to other states that have had emergencies.
Oh.
Yeah. This is the man who wants to be president. I'm getting my second vaccination this afternoon, so I'm very excited about that.
Mazel tov.
I just hope it works. It might not work on me.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm immune compromised.
Oh.
and they don't know if it will work.
Mhm.
My parents got their second vaccination. They're in North Carolina earlier this week. Yeah.
It's kind of strange what we talk about. And the other conversation is, oh, I tried that and I tried that. Here's the link and there's the link. Sadly, and I even put this on a list of someone has to be the last person who's vaccinated. So, but okay, what else is going on?
I thought Cheryl's poem, to me, that was very much, in the spirit of Amanda Gorman. The idea, it was real poetry, but added the violin. It was just beautiful. I just was so impressed with how she took the refrain from the Hebrew, from the biblical passage of the colors. And,
you need to come to Cheryl's Tuesday night Maariv services, because she does something similar to this almost every Tuesday night and does a short devar. It's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, how nice. No, I have not been to those. Thank you.
Just to let everyone know, the breakout rooms are ending in just a few more seconds. So people will be joining us again.
Thank you, Carol. Carol, you can teach me Zoom skills, because I run some Zoom meetings and I can't do any of the things you do. So we'll privately discuss that.
Carol Stern is the leader, but I'm happy to help you with whatever I can do.
Okay, so Susan and Lewis, I've also made you co-hosts, so there'll be no problems for you.
Okay, Lewis is truly running the show. I'm doing nothing, but that's okay.
Well, your name was on the list. I've kept you
know.
on.
Thank you.
Co-host, but that there won't be any problems.
Oh, hi there, Lewis.
Hey, how are you? Good morning. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
It was lovely to see Sharon Gill, and Cheryl was incredible this morning. Absolutely incredible.
Okay. And now Lewis is screen share, and all of us get to see everything he's been up to for years.
Am I supposed to just go?
I don't know, but
I can just go.
We can see your whole computer screen.
Fred should be back in a second. Fred is actually.
You can see my screen now?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't press share. Did I?
Right. As long as you are a co-host.
Yeah, but I'm not preparing to share at the moment.
Well, then try to unshare this.
Okay, well, I can just talk. I don't know what that means. You can see
you are on.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. Continue to be the sanctuary, and we think now about how we can make our homes as well as our communal spaces more of a sanctuary for everyone. Take it away.
Thanks very much, Rabbi Fred, and thank you to the whole community for allowing me to talk with you about this. I'm talking about inclusion, and some of the question is, why is this a topic now? And also, for my purposes, how does it apply for aging? Susan is behind me in so many ways as a partner and a friend, for which I am incredibly grateful, but she's not actually appearing with me today. That was a little bit of a false flag or something. So my experience is with varied and different abilities, but is based primarily on mobility and the built environment. And I'll tell you just briefly how I got into this. In 1988, I was working as a contractor and asked to help a family. You may remember the story. A young man, member of Temple Sinai, 12 years old, was shot near his home, and he was about to come out of rehab, a paraplegic. His mother got a hold of me through some contacts, and I said, what do you need a contractor for? And she said something very important. She said, I didn't have to help him before he was injured. I want him to be independent in the bathroom when he comes home. It's 1988. I had no idea what to do. There was no internet to look it up. I remodeled their bathroom. He was independent. And the significance was important to me, the significance of what I had done for him and for this family with my hammer and saw. And it pushed me to embark on the career I've led since then, which is now 33 years. That seems unbelievable. Today, I was going to talk about, in the time of the Me Too movement and BLM, I want to talk a bit about how inclusion can be viewed through a similar lens, that we, all of us, need to up our game. And I hope you'll agree with me at the end of that. I will make some remarks and then leave it to you to think about this. The context of these ideas is different than misogyny and racism. It really lodged in medical miracles of the last century. So what do I mean? Medical advances mean more people live with disability. Research, medications, and treatments have had incredible impact. You can see it in reduced infant and child mortality, increased longevity, the extension of premature births that we see so much, and then also adult onset disabilities, the idea that, such as things that come from accidents, spinal cord injuries, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, and those things. And the idea that those of us who are mainstream in terms of mobility and balance and reach are temporarily able-bodied. And this is terms and things I only learned as I got into this with people in the disability communities about 30 years ago. So though people live longer and fuller lives today with paralysis. That's a really good example, because before antibiotics, people who had a spinal cord injury, very soon after, usually of a lung or bladder infection. They just couldn't maintain bodily function without antibiotics because infections just occurred due to a lack of movement and a lack of change in the way their body worked. But also cerebral palsy, spina bifida, and progressive neuro conditions such as MS, Parkinson's, and even later stages of ALS and multiple systems atrophy and conditions like that. So it also applies, and importantly, for our purposes, to developmental and learning and other unseen disabilities and mental health conditions. And you can really view it in some respects in the same lens. Similarly, there's just more discernment of conditions and treatments. Instead of the non-PC words that I knew in junior high school for kids who were in a separate classroom, that was a catch-all for behavioral problems and learning disabilities, all of which were largely undefined and untreated. They were just put away. And the same exact thing for people with mental health conditions were, put in institutional settings and the doors were closed. I had an aunt who only appeared once after a diagnosis of schizophrenia because they didn't know how to deal with it. They just put them away. And that's really changed. It also really applies in some respects, the same conditions that we see in these areas apply to aging. So we have differences, changes over time in mobility, in balance, in frailty, in stamina, in fatigue, in vision, in hearing, in cognitive capabilities, and in dementia. And all these things were just kind of shunted out of the way. And now we're trying, or hopefully trying, to include that. So we see inclusion in this light as change occurs in the civil rights movement is one way we can view our response. It was about jobs and drinking fountains and restaurants and theaters and bathrooms. And then what happened was that people who met on the job, now people maybe in a wheelchair is an obvious example, are able to be on the job. They start to meet people at the water cooler, and then maybe, people of different colors start to be on the same job together, and they go to the water cooler and meet and maybe become friends in a way that they had never expected to, and find out they both enjoy football or something like that, and they go home and become real friends. People of who previously had been separate by these things that we know about before civil rights movement. And then ADA, and this is where I wanted to be, ADA is the response to similar issues in the abilities, because it has to do with jobs and drinking fountains and restaurants and theaters and bathrooms, the same sorts of accommodations in order to bring those people into inclusion. But what happens with particularly abilities such as a wheelchair user, meeting at the drinking fountain doesn't allow you to go home with that person because you can't get in their house. You can't be invited to their home. And we see this in birthday parties. We see this in kids playing soccer in the street. If there is a wheelchair user, that wheelchair user, when it starts to rain, there's only one house on the block they can go to when it rains. They can't go play in somebody's basement. And they don't get invited to birthday parties at school because they don't know how they're going to get that wheelchair user into the house. Or when young women particularly get ready to dress for the prom, everybody's going to somebody's house, but the wheelchair user is going to their house, the only house they can get into. They never know how badly somebody's mom makes tuna fish salad at lunch because they never get to visit, and they really miss on so much of the socialization that occurs from visiting in people's homes. And there is a movement called visitability, which is about changing homes in minor ways so that people can visit. It's not about your ability. We all see this in Thanksgiving. What happens when a cousin or relative changes their abilities and can't get into your home? I've talked to people who said, we're tired of having Thanksgiving in the garage because Nana can't get in the house. What can you do to get us a ramp before Thanksgiving this year? But it's also about using the bathroom. So those are the basics of visitability. Can you get in and can you use the bathroom? Because you don't want to offer someone a cup of tea if they have to run down the street to a public bathroom to take a leak. We also saw this in Adat Shalom candlelight dinners, right? Where we started to have to post, what homes can people get into? Do we really want to be inclusive? So, and ageism, to bring this back to my area, and one part of the way that people are not included, ageism is rampant in jokes, in jobs and other discrimination, in disinclusion due to hearing, mobility, stamina, etc. Do you think, well, we can't really take Aunt Beth to go to the park because she can't walk around long enough to join us at the park? And it results in a lack of accessibility and inclusion. Even not being able to drive at night is discluding. It keeps the Adat Shalom community from, when we were in the building, to coming to activities. And it results really in a denial of choice. These people's choices are more limited about what they do because of the disinclusion. And it impacts dignity and self-esteem. And those are some of the reasons it's important. So lack of residential accessibility, which is my area, results in falls and other injuries and increased caregiver needs. There's actually data for that. It results in expensive rehab in institutions after illnesses or injuries, places that no one really wants to be, but they can't get in their own home, so they can't get out of rehab. They have to go to rehab instead of coming home, where they would certainly recover more comfortably and pleasantly. Aging in place, which is the area I work in, is maintaining residential choice throughout the lifespan. Not aging in place is being forced from your home due to changes in your health that really can be expected as you age. Aging is not that bizarre a process. We all hope to go through it. So the design solutions that we talk about for this are called universal design in the United States. It's a term that is often misunderstood, but in Europe, it's interestingly called design for all. And I think that's actually a better term. Universal design is the design of buildings, products, or environments to make them accessible to all people, regardless of age, disability, or other factors. And it's not special design. That would be the opposite of inclusion. It should be all design, but it should consider people at the fringe of the bell curve in order to make sure that everyone can be included under the bell curve. And some examples are closed captioning, right? ALS interpretation is not exact. It is basically for special, but closed captioning, we all use it. It was designed and included and made a law because of people with difficulty hearing. But we all use it when we're in a crowded airport waiting area or in a bar, or our partner doesn't want the noise on, or something like that. We just all use it and we come to take it for granted. Curb cuts also the same way. We have suitcases that have wheels, and it's only really since 1993 when the ADA required curb cuts and no-step entries. And it makes it better for all of us. So you can call them corollary benefits of universal design, of the insistence on inclusion, but real advocates just call them good design. It's just good design. So I'm going to show you now, I'm going to actually try to share my screen and show you some examples. Can you see that at all? So someone just let me know, because I can't see the screen, the thumbs up or anything yet. So right here, we have a person walking out of a home. This is in Chevy Chase with a suitcase, no step entry.
Not seeing anything, Louis.
You're not. Okay, so now I need to go back from that and actually try to share my screen, right? Okay, there we go.
Got it.
Now you can see it?
Yes, got it.
Okay, so now you can see a person here. Oh, and maybe I can do this. Is that even better? Whoa. So here we see a person coming out of a home in Chevy Chase that was remodeled to include a no-step entry, so they're using a suitcase. Whoops. And here's a house in DC with just a no-step entry at the door. And some homes use a lift. And here's another home with the porch just being changed to include a no-step entry, and one in Silver Spring. So they can happen in a lot of different cases and with different homes. But also railings on both sides of the stairs, because if you've got a good hand or you're carrying something in the left hand, you want to use the railing with your right hand, you have to have a railing on the other side to go up. Lever door handles, which allow you to use a doorknob, even if your grip isn't good or with your arms full, you can use your elbow. We see these in commercial spaces, but not very often in homes. And even such simple things as raising the plugs off the floor. So if you have trouble bending down, you don't have to work so hard to reach something.
Louis, move to the second slide.
Am I on? That was the second slide. Is that, you see that, Susan?
It didn't change.
Huh. I don't know how to,
just refresh it. I don't know.
Refresh. Okay, do you see that there? Accessible bathrooms?
No.
We're still on the first screen. It never came out of your PowerPoint default thing. It didn't.
There we are. Now we're on the
You're
bathrooms. Okay.
Okay, so here, okay, I wanted to just go back and show you those railings and stuff. And here are some bathrooms, and you can see in these bathrooms that there's no curb getting into the shower. There's no way, nothing you need to avoid and step over with difficulty. And similarly, in this case, you have a shower, there's no step, but there's also contrast on the floor so that you can see the edge of the shower if your vision is low. And the idea here is that not only can you shower without difficulty and get in and out possibly with a wheelchair, but it gives maneuvering space for a caregiver to help out in the bathroom. This is also showing a no-step shower, but also grab bars in a myriad of colors and shapes and styles. So they're not ugly. This is not your grandmother's grab bar. We all should have them in our bathrooms. And here are some kitchens. So here's one kitchen that's closed, but then this one is open and it shows a seated area at the stove, a seated area at the sink. The oven's at a special height so you can move hot things out of it easily to a built-in hot pad, a place where you can cut while seated. And here's a rolling cart. So instead of carrying many loads out to the dining room, you fill up the cart and carry stuff out and clear the table the same way. And this woman is sitting just in an office chair, a rolling office chair, cooking in her kitchen. Why does Thanksgiving need to mean sore feet? If you have something like this, you can cook while seated and just be more relaxed, and stamina doesn't become a problem. But there's also, fun technology. I don't know if some of you are still without a toilet seat bidet. I wouldn't be without mine. But it's about dignity and luxury and hygiene, and also partly the dignity of not having someone help you with certain things. So just lastly, it's not only in the house, but it's also outside the house. The areas I primarily deal with are getting in and out, moving around the house, doing daily functions like paying your bills and using your computer, cooking, using the bathroom and the bedroom and the storage in those, entertaining people, and using the outdoors. These are all considerations for people who want to remain in their home with dignity. And I just wanted to show you this slide because this young fellow, he recognizes the value of a grab bar in the bathroom. He just automatically grabs it if there's something there. It's not something to be shunned or avoided. It only makes sense to have good, solid grips in a place where you are wet and slippery. And then we don't have to, some jokes. And then I want to talk about this in terms of the movement that I see. This is a movement and it needs to be so. So I'm going to stop screen sharing, I think, if I can figure out how, and just go on and finish talking about this. I think I only have like 2 more slides or 1 more. So our concern and our investment in inclusion is a sense of responsibility. How are we doing that at Dot Shalom? It really depends on who you ask. We have taken steps. A sound loop in the sanctuary. We have automatic doors for people who need help opening and closing doors. We have that Torah table that Rabbi Fred mentioned earlier and that Steve Shaper constructed for us. And now, we're using Zoom and we're using sign language interpreting, and occasionally we have sign language, but many families and many prospective members find us lacking. So for Adat Shalom, I think we need to step to be an effort to be more accepting and more supportive, more and all the time. And it's a responsibility, a response to the results of medical advances, to our sense of what is right and how it applies to aging. And in the end, really, this is about social justice, and that's inclusion. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom and Yasher Koach. Thank you. Susan, since you work so closely, is there anything you would like to add? Give you the first opportunity.
Well, I think Louis did a really good job of framing this as being a matter of inclusion, that across age groups and ability ranges, this is really a civil rights issue to really enable people to participate fully in society and fully in Adat Shalom activities. That's where we're main focus of the Inclusion Advisory Committee. But I've been noticing in the chat that there are a number of people are asking, even if you want to make improvements to your home, how do you finance them? And that is not really an easy thing to find. And I just mentioned that there are some programs available. Actually, Montgomery County has one program called Design for Life, which is very hard to access. You have to apply for a grant, which is a matching grant up to $5,000, but you have to apply at the time that you put in for a building permit. And many of these kinds of improvements don't require a building permit. So nobody knows that that's what they have to do. And so after they made the improvement, they can't be reimbursed after the fact. So that program has moderate use. It actually is pretty much ignored. But the state of Maryland is also developing a program where you would get I'm not sure if it's a tax credit up to $5,000 for home improvements. So that was legislation that had been passed, but hadn't really been instituted. They were still writing the rules the last that I checked on it. So I'm not sure to what extent that would be available in 2020, let alone maybe in 2021.
Yeah. So chat is always wonderful. And I saw Debbie's question that also reminded us of the deeper point Louis was making about design for all, or universal design, that what you think may be for the elderly may end up being needed before you know it, and that this benefits all. Thank you for that, Debbie. And thank you both. So I'm going to suggest, given the time, that while there's opportunity for more learning, I want us to be able to make Kiddush and wrap up. And then, Louis, would you be willing to stay for a little discussion, Q&A? So instead of simply breaking into Maya Hayom and Good Shabbos, everyone, we'll keep it going after Kiddush. But some of us actually will need to run, and this is a rare Shabbat that includes me. So with huge appreciation, again, to Louis and to the entire Inclusion Advisory Committee, and again to Cheryl and Amitai and everyone from this morning's service. We are going to turn back in the prayer book to page 459, and Benji Eisman-Whiting, one more time, steps forward to wrap us up liturgically, and then we'll come back to Q&A and discussion with Louis.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. B'nei Yisrael oti le'olam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim yasa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'yinafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Al ken barach Adonai et yom ha-Shabbat v'yikadshehu sofrei chaverai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Bread.
Huge Yasher Koach, thank you. So l'chaim, everyone.